to hold in my hands a podcast that contains such power. That power would put me up above the gods. And through the science of audio, I shall have that power.
Good morning everyone and welcome. It is great to have you here at the Science of Audio event. Thank you for people who have come back from last time. We weren't here that long ago with Katie, but it's marvellous to be here with the amazing Wendy Padbury. So I'm going to ask you, can you get on your feet? Please welcome Wendy Padbury.
Really high and it was going to be...
Well, I was going to do a little one or a big one. No, it is spinning still too.
We can't reach the floor to stop it. Anyway, not to worry.
So I'll try to sit up here, like this then.
Yes, I'm used to it. It's normal for me.
Welcome. How's it out? You've been here in Melbourne for a week now.
Yeah.
What's been the best thing about Melbourne?
The best thing about, well, obviously meeting you, Philip, has been the best thing. No, I'm serious.
Everyone knows me laughs, yeah?
No, I'm serious. No, I love Melbourne. It's a more manageable city, I think, than Sydney. But,
Yes, it is.
Sorry, Philip.
That's okay. No, it is.
Yeah, we built our roads on a straight grid.
No, it's lovely. It's absolutely beautiful here, and I've been revisiting places I visited before. So just trying to memorise what I saw 10 years ago. No, it's been amazing.
Brilliant. Now, so great to have you back in Australia. It's been 10 years since last time.
Yeah.
And 20 years is your first time?
Yes.
So is it every 10 years? Are we expecting you again in 10 years' time?
Oh no, come on. I'll be heading towards 80 then. That's not going to happen, is it?
That'd be great. Now, so back in Australia, brilliant. Now, last thing you did, people just would have watched the Tales of TARDIS. Some of you saw that up there. Is that who saw that for the first time? A few people that hadn't seen it before. So you were filming last September.
Yeah.
Tell us how Tales of TARDIS came about.
Well, it was Russell, obviously, because he's a massive Doctor Who fan, and because it was the 60th anniversary, his intention was to include as many people as possible, because he's such a fanboy, really. And that's how that came about. It was, would you be happy to do this? And I was like, I haven't been in front of a camera for more than 40 years. I'm not sure about this. And he said, it's 6 minutes, surely. And I said, I haven't learned lines. He said, it's like riding a bike. You never forget. He's wrong. So it was Russell, really, that, and what a lovely thing to do. And they've gone down really, really well. People really love them. Seeing us oldies or classics.
Classics.
Yes.
Have you met Russell before?
Yes, I had met Russell before, and also when he was doing the thing Nolly that he did a 3-parter about a television series called Crossroads, and the star of the show was Noel Gordon, and he loves soaps. Russell, he absolutely loves soaps. And Crossroads, he told me, was one of the ones that he was, as a young man, about to write it for when it was pulled. So he never got to write for it, but he was always loved it and always loved Noel Gordon. So we made contact years ago when it was a thought in his head about what he was going to do, and he just wanted, and we had a very, very long Skype because I was living in France. And I said to him, I was 17 when I was in Crossroads. I don't know quite how much I'm going to remember to help you out here. But there were, funnily enough, when you start to talk about things, you know, things were coming back. And I was able to remember things like the chair, there was a big drama about Noel's chair. Nobody else was able to sit in her chair, which I did, of course, on my very first day of the show. She was pretty fierce, but she was an incredible woman, actually, a really strong, first British interviewer to interview a Prime Minister. She had her own daytime show. She was called the Queen of the Midlands. Everybody knew Noel Gordon. So that's how I first met Russell, even though it was only online. And the rest is history, of course.
I mean, I know Russell sent you an email this week wishing you all the best in Oz.
Yes, he did.
Seeing how you were. So
yes,
yeah,
he did.
You must have catch up emails from Russell, just checking on you.
Yes, he is, yes.
So yeah, so that's marvelous. Now, just a little bit more about Tales of the TARDIS. So it would have all been very secretive.
Yeah.
How did it actually go about in terms of, we've heard all sorts of stories of people go to Cardiff for filming and get sprung by all kinds of people. Tell us a bit about what happened with you.
It was quite funny because quite a few of us that did the Tales of the TARDIS were at a convention in Swansea, which is about 40 minutes from Cardiff. And we all knew, because we'd all read each other's scripts, we all knew that we were all going to be doing, during that week, Tales of the TARDIS.
But there's other people there who weren't involved.
There were other people that weren't involved, so we all signed NDAs, and so we were all terrified to say anything to each other, even though we knew, you know, I was sitting at breakfast with Colin, and we didn't mention it because we were too scared. But eventually at one lunchtime, we did all say, should we talk about the elephant in the room while we're all together? And then everybody was going, oh my God, I'm so excited. So, yeah, we talked about it, but the funniest thing, sort of funny, after the convention, I'd asked if we could do the Monday, because they were doing them each day. I'd asked if we could do the Monday, knowing that we were going to be in Cardiff on the Saturday, in Swansea on Saturday and Sunday. And the casting director said, well, everybody wants to do the Monday because you're all in Swansea. And I said, oh, come on, please, do me a favour. Anyway, we got the Monday, Fraser and I. And during the afternoon, Fraser said, right, I'm going to leave early. I think you should leave half an hour after me. So it was all, you know, when you've got a secret and you speak to somebody and you think they know what your secret is. So he left, and half an hour later, he left in his car. Half an hour later, I left in my car.
So secretly leaving conventions, separate cars, half an hour of meeting up in a hotel.
Yeah.
There's nothing suspicious about that at all.
Anyway, apparently, Fraser drove to the hotel and was not sure that he was at the right place. He put down his window and said, excuse me, is this the St. David's Hotel? And this person said, yeah, yes, it is, just down there on the left. He said, thank you very much. Wound his window up, off he went. When I got there...
But who did he realise the person was?
No. Oh yeah, no, he did. He thought he did. And then when I got there, he said, I tapped on his door because we were going to run our lines because we were filming the following day. He said it's really bizarre because I stopped somebody in the street and it was Matthew Waterhouse, and I said, don't be ridiculous. Matthew had been at the convention in Swansea. And I said, no, he's not. Don't be ridiculous. Anyway, he kept going on about, I hope you don't bump into Matthew Waterhouse. I said, can you stop with the story about Matthew Waterhouse? He's not here, you're telling lies, it's not funny anymore. And he went on and on about Matthew Waterhouse being somewhere in the location. And I said, there's no reason, the joke is wearing really thin, Fraser. You need to stop talking about Matthew Waterhouse. Anyway, we that evening we went out to supper with Russell. which was lovely. And
As you do, Russell pops down, a supper.
And even there, Fraser said to Russell, Matthew Waterhouse is here. And I went, Fraser, stop it. And Russell went, oh, that's going to be awkward, is he? And I said, it's Fraser, he's making it up, he's not here. He said, oh, thank goodness for that. Anyway, we filmed all day, we got back to the hotel, Fraser and I, we went straight to the bar, of course, had a drink. I was sitting with my back to the entrance to this bar. Fraser was facing it, and he was taking a sip of drink, and he said, Matthew Waterhouse had just walked in. I said, Fraser, you are doing my head in, stop it. And he said, no, he did. And I said, he did not. I said, I'm gonna look. So I got up, went into reception, nobody. And I said, Fraser, just drop it with the Matthew. About half an hour later, we were on our second drink, and Matthew Waterhouse walked in. And we were just, you're here. Why? What are you? Who? How? And I said to Fraser, he thinks we're having an affair. He thinks we're having an affair. I said to him, we're not having an affair. And he went, okay. And he said, what are you doing here then? And I said, we can't tell you. We can't say. And he went, oh. Anyway, we couldn't. I said, honestly, this is really embarrassing, but we can't tell you. Then he was really good about it all. And he'd come as a birthday surprise for his partner. It was his birthday. And they just thought they'd come and stay in this really swanky hotel in Cardiff for the night, just as a birthday treat. Anyway, I saw Matthew at breakfast the next morning, by which time he had seen Janet Fielding, and he said, you don't need to tell me, I know there's something going on, I don't know what it is, but I get it, it's fine, don't worry about it. And true to his word, he posted nothing until after they'd gone out. I thought that was really decent of him. It was really embarrassing.
Did Fraser get back at you?
No, of course not.
He's just not being believed, isn't he?
Yeah.
So how was the actual filming day? Because actual filming methods have changed a bit since you were in Doctor Who previously?
I mean, just looking at a camera, for instance, that they use now. I mean, as I say, it's 40 years since I've been in front of a camera. They're just incredible. We had those giant things that actually moved around a bit like a Dalek did. Giant cameras with huge cables that you had to step over and avoid at all costs. And there was this thing on this arm that just sort of swished around, and it was incredible. Russell had said to me the night before, do you want to go and see the TARDIS you're working on before tomorrow? And I went, no, it's all right. I'll wait till tomorrow. He said, do you want to see David's TARDIS? And I said, yeah. So he said to someone, can you light the David's TARDIS so that Wendy can go and have a look at it after filming? So after filming, I went all through Backwolf Studios, which is like a small town, like nothing I've ever seen before, and arrived at this hangar, and I thought, there's going to be an aeroplane in here, but it wasn't. It was a type enormous. I mean, talk about TARDIS envy. It was absolutely enormous. And Scott Hancock was there, and Scott said, yeah, David was like, oh, this is amazing. When I'm doing these lines, I'm going to run up here and run round there and run down there. And after about 6 takes, apparently David was sad that he'd suggested all this running. He was utterly exhausted. No, it was enormous. But when we got to the filming of our TARDIS in the morning, and we were all ready to go to do our first rehearsal, and I stepped into the TARDIS, I burst into tears. I was completely over-emotional for whatever reason. I suppose because I never thought I'd stand in a TARDIS again, or work in a TARDIS. And what they'd done with it was so fantastic. with every little item from everybody's era, things that you recognise from other people's shows, things you recognise from your own, and it was incredible, actually. And Russell said, "Do you want a hug?" And I went, "No, go away, go away, no, I'm fine, you'll make it worse, go away." Anyway, he went away. We did our first rehearsal, which was just a tiny bit of the first scene where I turn around and say, "Hello, Jamie." And I heard this, and it was Russell weeping, and I said, "You're going to have to leave. You're going to make my day really difficult if you just stand there blubbing like a child. Please go." And he said, I've got meetings to go to." I said, "Go to your meetings then, now, just go." He didn't, of course. I didn't know he hadn't, but he didn't. He was there most of the day, I think. But it was the most amazing day. And the love, I think that was the thing. I think that I think it was that made me so emotional, was that every single person truly loved the program. And, you know, people were saying, "We can't believe we've got you here from all these years ago," and it's incredible. Everybody was thrilled to be doing these tales, and it was a truly emotional day. I was a wreck by the end of the day.
Because it's not just Russell who loves the program. All the people who's employed, makeup, hair, they all know the program.
Everybody.
Yeah.
They know the program inside out. They'd all done their research, so they'd all watched our classics, as we're known, some of our stories, so they knew what we were about. And but that machine is not something like, you know, I used to go to work to do Doctor Who on the bus, because Russell said, "We'll send you a car to there." I said, "It's all right, I've got my own car, I'll just drive." And he went, no. He said, "You will get a car." And I said, "But I wanted to leave afterwards and go." And he said, No, you're not doing that." He said, "You can stay another night in the hotel and you will have a car." And I had a driver who sort of just was my driver. I only used him in the morning and then to go by. I said, "What are you going to do all day? This must be so boring." He went, No, I'm fine." But honestly, the machine, once you said yes to doing it, because I said to the casting director, who was the one that eventually contacted me after I'd said yes, I said, "Can you send me a script?" And he said, "Oh, there isn't a script yet. No, we've been waiting for you to say yes. Now we'll write the script." That was done really quickly, within about 5 days, and I imagine that was the same for all of us. So it was all very, very quick, but the machine of Bad Wolf and the program that kicked in with immediate phone calls of, "What can we do? Makeup, head of makeup. What would you like? Can we cut your hair, colour your hair? What can we do? Costume, what would you like to wear? How would you like to?" And it was, I mean, it wasn't like that back in the day, let me tell you.
You weren't requesting bubble wrap to wear?
No, I didn't. I requested something sparkly, just as a nod to the sparkly cat suit. But I did make sure I wasn't wearing a cat suit. I'm a bit old for that now, but...
No, I don't believe that. You look amazing.
Oh, thank you for that.
Doesn't she still look amazing?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we brought your carer along with you.
Oh yes, I've got my carer here.
But we've hardly needed to use her the whole time.
Yeah.
It'd be quite stunning. Now that TARDIS set, the memory TARDIS, it's now a standing set in Bad Wolf. They did pull it down. So, and of course, if you have signed something to go back again, you can't tell us anyway. But by chance, would you go back and do more if they asked you?
Oh, I would now. And now I've got a bit of a taste for it. Yeah, I would now. Yes, definitely.
Have you thought about fighting Silurians with the units? No, okay. To the story. How long did you spend filming your 6 minutes?
Oh, that Tales of the TARDIS.
Yeah.
The whole day. I think I had a 5:30 makeup call. And then...
5:30 a.m.
Yes, a.m.
Gosh, you need lots of makeup at that time.
Well, I needed a lot of makeup, yeah. No, 5:30, everybody was there. And we finished at I think we finished between 6:30 and 7. There were lots of breaks. They brought breakfast to us, and lunch was brought to us, and it was all very gentle. But it was a long day. It was a long day, but it was worth every.
So how is that different now to when you were filming Doctor Who 50 years ago?
Oh, couldn't be more different. The funny thing about at the end of the day, the filming day, the director said, "Okay, that's a wrap," and then everybody stood up and applauded. Every single member in the room. And then Russell was there, and we were handed huge bouquets of flowers. And I said, this is wonderful. I said, now you've got other people coming for the rest of the week, so it's all downhill from now on. But it was fantastic. But the difference, I mean, you can't compare with us rehearsing in a church hall, because there were no rehearsal rooms built then, us doing it much more like a play, rehearsing in the week, and producers run midweek, which was always a joke anyway, because they were always plastered. But so it was completely different. And then the recording was completely different. You had about an hour. I think we started at 7:30. We had to finish at 9, or we started at.
You said it was 10.
No, I don't think it was as late as 8:30.
Okay.
I think we probably started at 7 and finished at 8:30. I know we only had a very limited time, and it was literally going scene to scene chronologically, and the only pauses. So you'd be on one set, maybe in the TARDIS, doing one scene, and then they cut to another scene of other people in another set. And we used to have to creep round the back of sets and over these cables, avoiding cameras, to get to our next set. So, the only time recording ever stopped was for a special effect. A Cyberman with whatever it might be, or a bit of outside broadcasting that there might have been, VTR. So, but as we were never really allowed to stop. And actually it was so rigid, regulation-wise, that if we didn't finish on time, and it only happened to us once, they would pull the plug. It was pretty full on with, you've got this time, and after that, everybody goes into overtime. They never would pay overtime, so they pulled the plug. I think only once we ever had to film something that wasn't part of that day, just a scene, later, tag on to another day. So it couldn't have been more different. I quite liked it, I must say, going from the beginning to the end. It was a bit like doing a play. And now, when I look at people in soaps and things, and they film out of sequence, like something like The Bill that you may or may not have heard of, which was a long-running series. When I was an agent, I had a couple of clients who were in The Bill, and if I ever needed them, I had to phone, and it was like they were either on blue, red, or green units, and they were doing scenes from different episodes throughout the day, and I thought, I don't know how you do this. I really don't know how you do this. Really complicated way of filming for me, but I suppose that's how it's done now.
I mean, you just mentioned The Bill. You said it was actually The Bill that drove our acting, wasn't it?
Yeah, I did an episode of The Bill, and I thought, I don't think I'm enjoying this anymore. Why am I doing this? I don't think I'm enjoying. I suppose I miss the camaraderie of, if you were going in to do a couple of episodes or something, I didn't meet the director beforehand. I didn't meet anybody really. I didn't meet who I was doing the scene with, or the couple scenes with. So it just felt a bit lonely, and I suppose I was used to the old way of, knowing everybody that you're meeting everyone that you're working with. So it was after that I decided, I think I'll let somebody else carry on with this, and that's when I became an agent.
Good. Now, I'm not going to go back to the very start of your career, because if you watch the Science of Audio on YouTube, we did an interview with her, avoiding all Doctor Who stuff, because we're going to bring that out to you live. But I just want to hear about Wendy in terms of as a child, and what her original dreams were, and what she was hoping to do. She wasn't an actress. Just YouTube, Science of Audio, Wendy Padbury, and you'll find the episode. Please watch it and then subscribe. But let's go to Doctor Who, because we deliberately avoided that on the podcast because we wanted you to be live. So just tell us, how did Doctor Who come about?
Oh, just an interview from my agent. It was you've got an audition for Doctor Who, and I was like, oh, really? That's nice. And I had to go to the BBC and meet Peter Bryant and Derek Sherwin.
Were they sober?
They were sober at the time. Well, I think they were sober. So that was the first interview. It was just a chat, and then there was another, and then everybody went. Everybody went for the audition, and it got down to a short list, and then a short list, and it ended up.
Short? Those seem to be short people for the short list.
Oh, you're funny, Craig. Oh no, wait. So I think there were 6 of us. One of whom was Fraser's girlfriend at the time. So I think he was, hoping that she was going to get the part.
I'll ask which one, but there were so many.
Oh, so many. So many, don't ask. We used to go out clubbing quite a lot when we were doing Doctor Who, and I was always like the raspberry. He'd always got some beautiful girl on his arm, and I was like, I'll come. But yeah, so it got down to 6 of us, and the last audition was camera right just across your eyes, then sent us a page of dialogue, which was just 6 lines, and each line was a different emotion. So all they filmed were your eyes, which was just as well, because my knees were knocking. So if I'd been in long shot, you would have seen me trembling. But and anyway, I got the job.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So you didn't do a chemistry reading, thank you. You didn't do a chemistry reading with Fraser or Patrick?
No.
So when did you first meet?
I would never have joined if I'd done that with Fraser.
So when did you first meet Fraser and Patrick?
On Deborah Watling's last recording, I was invited to sit in the gallery and watch them record her last episode. And then afterwards there was a little party to say goodbye to Debbie and hello to me. So that's when I first met them.
So was the way they sit in the gallery, was that because the way they filmed Doctor Who was different to other shows, or was this pretty standard at that time?
No, it was pretty standard, I think, at that time. They were all filmed in pretty much the same way. To sit in the gallery with the director and everything, I learnt very quickly that, what is translated to you on the floor from a floor manager, which is, I wonder if you could step slightly to your left, that's not what they say in the gallery. Get that bloody woman to move on up here. So that was a bit of an eye-opener. But it was lovely. It was a nice way of doing it, I think.
So how long did it take you to click with Patrick and Fraser?
Oh, it's pretty immediate. I mean, they were very welcoming, and I learned very quickly that because every story had a completely new cast, then everybody was new, and it's always scary coming into something new when there are some already established characters in it. So it was always, I was very aware that whenever a new cast came, we were always incredibly welcoming and make people feel as comfortable and as welcome as they could be, because it's not easy coming in and when you've got 3. Also same with the directors, the directors are landed with 3 people that they may not have cast themselves. So I was always very conscious of that a new director was possibly you would not be their choice to have in the show. But it worked well, generally. It worked really well.
Excellent. Now, there's going to be more questions and things with you later.
Yeah.
And there's got a huge opportunity for you to ask your own questions. So, I'm sure I'm not asking any of the questions you want me to ask. That's okay. Ask them later. But I just want to slightly embarrass you.
Oh.
So, I mean, I could keep talking to Wendy, but Charlie Hayes, which is Wendy's daughter, is also out in Australia, and I thought, who better to get the dirt on Wendy than her own daughter? We'll hear whether or not Wendy's been looking after her daughter properly while we've been out here, because no doubt the worse the questions are, the more we know. You'd really be pushing the luck with you later. So I'm actually going to, and I will actually talk to Charlie later. Charlie Hayes is our actress, mainly voiceover work, and many of you will know her from Big Finish. She's done some of the big classic Big Finish stories. She even stole her mother's role for one Big Finish story. That's another story.
That's why we don't speak.
And can I just say, having spent some time with Charlie, she's just delightful as well. What a bloody time. So Charlie, do you want to come down and embarrass your mother?
Yes.
Please welcome Charlie Hayes.
Hello. Right. It's payback time. Got my entire childhood. Let's go. You scared?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm scared.
Right. I'd like to start off with a section I like to call Questions I Won't Ask. That starts off with, here's the things I'm not going to ask. So I'm not going to ask you to talk in great detail about all your knowledge of astrophysics.
Thanks.
I won't ask you, has there been a Doctor Who companion that's shorter than you? Also, did you ever have to use stilts or perhaps have a box to stand on? Did you ever nearly consider naming any of your children Zoe, Jamie or Fraser? As your other children aren't here, who's your favourite child? Nothing? No. Okay. I won't ask, Zoe had a high-pitched voice. Were you on helium at the time of filming? And what's for dinner? But that's just mum and daughter stuff. Okay. Can you remember your first convention and how you prepared for it?
I can remember. I didn't prepare because it was John Nathan Turner actually that said to me, "Why?" Because we lived near each other, and he said, "Why are you not coming to conventions?" And I said, "I can't. I don't think I'll remember anything. It will be really embarrassing." He said it won't, because if you don't know anything, the fans know it. They know everything. I said, I don't know, it makes me really nervous. And he said, "You're one of the only ones that don't come to conventions. I think I'll take you to convention, a small one, and you'll see what it's like." And so it was Nick Courtney was the main guest at this tiny school in South London somewhere. And he said, "We won't introduce you, we'll just take you along, hide you, and then Nick will do his thing, and then I'll just say, 'We've got a surprise,' and you'll walk in." He said, "And then you'll see what it's all about." And he was right. I mean, the workman was incredible, and he stayed with me on stage and asked me some gentle questions, and so I didn't prepare. I just didn't know what to expect at all. But that was the start of me going to conventions then.
That's not my memory. That's not how.
What do you mean?
I think what happened was you came home and was like, "Oh my God, I'm doing something called a Doctor Who convention. I don't remember what I did." And then I think we watched about 3 days worth of...
No, you made that up.
And then my sister and I sat there going, "Why are you wearing bubble wrap? What is that?" That's my memory. Now I know you, and I know that you like interior design. If you could design or change the design of your own TARDIS, what would you have changed it? How would you have changed it differently?
Oh, I wouldn't have done much for the actual design, but I would have made all the controls on the console work, because every time I went during rehearsing a scene or something, and I'd go, yes doctor, come on, and then I'd be shouted at, going, don't touch it, no, don't touch it. Everything came off in your hand. Anything that you needed to turn just ended up in your hand, and nothing worked. So I would definitely make the TARDIS a bit more user-friendly for us.
Did you get TARDIS envy when you saw?
Oh, too right, I got TARDIS envy. When I first saw Chris Eccleston and saw that TARDIS, I was like, I can't believe it. I mean, I just can't believe how huge it is. I definitely had TARDIS envy. Yeah, still do.
When you watch Doctor Who today, does it still feel like it relates to the same series? Does it still feel like a part of the same series that you did? Does it feel like the same programme?
Well, it does, in as much as there's still a Doctor. So yes, but look at those old black and white ones and the special effects and things like that. I mean, the difference between then and now is incredible. I mean, and particularly with the new ones, I think, you can see Disney money slapped all over it. There's no doubt about that. But I think one of the good things about having Russell at the helm is that he won't lose the integrity of the show, I feel. But yes, I mean, it's huge. It looks a bit Hollywoodish in its look, but it's still fundamentally the Doctor and his travels and what he does. So yeah, it's still the same.
I remember I did a play in 1998, and the theatre manager said to me, is it true that your mum is Wendy Padbury? And I said, yeah, because I don't think you were doing conventions maybe quite then. And I was like, yeah. And she said, I've got my friend, I need to do a Secret Santa. And I wonder, because your mum was in Doctor Who, I wonder if she'd write a little card for my friend. And I said, sure, I'll ask Mum. And I said, oh Mum, company manager's friend wants a thing. And Mum said, yeah, sure, who's it to? And I said, I don't know, I'll ask. And then phoned my back. He said, oh, it's called Russell T. Davis, I think.
Yes, I remember that. Now Russell remembers. Yes, yes, that's absolutely true. Yeah, I've forgotten that.
Yes, yeah. What does it mean to you that Doctor Who has such an international appeal?
Well, I get to come to Australia. I mean, I mean, obviously the obvious, but it's just incredible. It's difficult to imagine, and it's quite easy to be a bit flippant about. Yeah. I was in Doctor Who, however many years ago. But actually, you realise Doctor Who fans are well, obviously universal, but nothing really is different. It just is sensational to have been part of something that you realise touches so many people's lives. It's quite a thing to think. It's quite a thing to think that after I'm dead, I might be still remembered for
now that's a very good question. Great. We're skipping forward, but that's fine. Now, obviously we don't want that to happen, but I was just thinking, when it does, presuming it does, before me, I was thinking, who will play you in the Big Finish audios? And I was just thinking, well, I was hoping I might do an audition for you, and just let me know whether you give your consent.
Go on then.
Hang on, I have to tune it. Well, hang on, it's quite low. Well, the quarks use the ultrasound, so presumably it must be a fuel capable of producing a high energy quotient to sustain an amplifying complex, considerably sophisticated design. With that, anything?
Absolutely nothing like that. I'm saying, yeah, no, I was high pitched. We were all high-pitched, I think, and we were all terribly posh.
Yes. It's like the Queen's English, my God. It's really like bats and dogs.
Well, the part's yours. When I'm gone, you can have it.
I'll take it. Costumes. Did you get to say did you get a choice? And did you get any kind of influence? Did they discuss the costumes with you?
Yeah, we saw, the designer designed them, and then we saw the designs, and it was invariably something lovely, because I loved all my costumes, actually. Some were more practical than others. So yes, I got to see the designs, and then they were made up by the dressmakers in wardrobe. There was one I wanted to keep, which I asked the BBC if I could, after I'd seen the design. I said, I love that, can and that's quite practical as well, that's something I probably would wear. And the designer said, I'm going to probably make it out of leather. I said, even better. Yeah, I'd quite like that one. Do you think they'll let me keep it? She said, I don't know, you can ask. Anyway, I asked, they went, no. The only way you can have it is if you buy the leather. So she and I went shopping in central London to buy this leather. So I had to buy the leather. It was then made up. I wore it in the show. And by the end of that particular story, it was covered in silver paint because the paint hadn't quite dried on the set. And so it was a bit of a mess by the time I finished. Anyway, I had this costume. And unusually, Fraser and I did a personal appearance because there was nothing happening outside our work with Doctor Who at that point. And we went to do some children's hospital charity thing at Selfridges, and I thought, I know, I'll wear my costume, and I did, and I loved wearing it. And then it sat in the drawer year after year after year, and in the end I thought, I'm never going to wear this again. So I sent it to Oxfam.
Oh God.
I know.
We could have been so rich. God damn it. Okay.
I know, you'd be surprised.
Did you ever steal anything from set? Let's get to the dirt. Did any mementos?
No, I know. I didn't know you could. Everybody else did. I didn't know stealing was acceptable. But yeah,
I mean, it's not.
I'm not sure. No,
some mother taught me that, but
I don't know whether Fraser ever took anything. I don't think I've ever asked him actually. Do you know, Philip, whether Fraser ever stole anything?
Is Fraser a thief?
So aside from women, from other people? Not that I know of.
No, it wasn't a thing in our.
He did claim he never did when I asked him in Brisbane.
Oh.
I don't think it was I don't think we realised that it was going to go on and on.
What would you
He
have
said he never
stolen?
thought it was going to continue, so he thought there was no point taking anything because it would just fade away.
Yeah.
So wrong.
Oh, I might have nicked a sonic screwdriver or something like that. I would have loved one of those. Or the recorder, Pat's recorder. There was nothing of mine particularly that I used that I could have actually taken. A few more costumes, definitely. Yeah. No, I never did. I was very good.
Have you ever encountered people that have never heard of Doctor Who?
No. I think, particularly in the UK, there are so many words from Doctor Who, TARDIS, everybody knows what a TARDIS is. It's always a headline of something. Everybody knows about Doctor Who, even if they've not watched it, they've heard of it.
If you did encounter somebody that never heard of it, how would you describe Zoe to them?
Stroppy, far more clever than the Doctor, not having the word humility in her vocabulary, just an exceptionally clever girl, and astrophysicist, Yes. I met an astrophysicist in Melbourne actually, in Sydney, and I think you asked him how to, in a few words, how to describe being an astrophysicist. His main one was madness, I think, was what he said, didn't he? Yeah. Yeah. I've met quite a few astrophysicists who became astrophysicists because of seeing Zoe. It's fascinating.
I think so concludes the grilling.
Oh, thanks.
For now.
Thanks.
The rest is back when we get home. What about my childhood? Can I have an ice cream? Stuff like that. Stuff.
Slurpee. You want another
Slurpee. It's really why I'm here, for the Slurpees, for the up and go, for the bike
I have been in more 7-Eleven since we've been in Australia. So that Charlie can have a Slurpee, and I'm like, how old are you? 10?
I love a Slurpee, I stand by it.
Thank you.
What Charlie never tells you is that she's done some really amazing work in the past.
I'm going to have Charlie back in 10 minutes. I'm going to give you a break
Oh, good.
before photos, and I'm going to talk to Charlie.
Okay.
And once we're out of the room, we're going to talk a lot about you. But we'll wait till you leave the room for that. What I thought it'd just be nice to talk about, we've talked about already about the fact that how different television was 50 years ago. I'd just like you to talk us through a filming week. So when did it start? And I know the days moved around a bit when you were there, but the basic run of how would a week look? When would you get a script? When would you meet the director? When would you meet the cast? How would rehearsals work? Can you just give us a bit of a flow of what television was like in the 60s?
Yeah, when it started on a Monday morning, you would have received the script just towards the end of the story you were already filming. So
Did you get a whole story at once, or just an episode at a
No,
time?
the whole story.
Okay.
You get a whole story. So you were able to do some homework over the weekend before you started rehearsing. And the day would start on a Monday morning in the church hall, and there was it was a big room, and so all the sets were laid out in tape on the floor.
Whose job was it to do that?
The floor manager or assistant floor manager.
So, aside from the cast, who else is in this hall?
Assistant floor manager, the director, obviously, and that was pretty much it. I think the cameramen used to come on the producer's run day, which I think was Wednesday, probably Wednesday morning, maybe Thursday morning, where the cameramen would come and see what the director had done and make notes about how they were going to angle their cameras, where they were going to place their cameras.
Because this is a multi-camera show, so how many cameras?
3 cameras usually, sometimes 4. Giant things, so they weren't, they were tricky to move. So it was much more difficult for them than it is now. So it would just be rehearsed scene by scene, try and get through the whole story in the first day.
So it was like
No, I'm lying. Am I lying?
Is it like a 9 to 5? Is it like
Oh, it was definitely a 9 to 5 job.
Okay, so
Yeah, definitely a 9 to 5 job. I know we had Wednesday afternoons off because Fraser has a love of racehorses, and I think he used to own some racehorses. But every Wednesday afternoon he used to go riding on Wimbledon Common. He'd phone up in the morning and book a horse. And he said to me, "You're going to come, Padders? You're going to come ride?" I said, No, they're big. They're lovely, but they're big. I don't want to get on the back of a horse, thank you. No, I'm not coming. And every week he'd say, "You sure you're not coming this week?" And then, no. Anyway, one week I said, "Okay, all right, Fraser, I'll come. So he went off, made the phone call, came back. He said, "All booked for this afternoon." I went, "Great." And he said, "My horse is called Snow White." And I said, "Oh, that's nice. What's mine called?" And he said, "Killer." Which of course it wasn't, but it was a giant horse that just wanted to eat. It didn't move anywhere really. Once we got into the studio, which was on the Friday, Fraser says Saturday. I remember it being a Friday, but maybe it was a Saturday.
I think it was Friday because
I thought it was
he
Friday.
used to have should have had weekends off.
I think so.
And part of Patrick's issue before you joined was the fact that they had to do film recording on the weekends.
Yeah.
They'd work Monday to Friday, and often he'd have to go out and film Saturday,
Yeah,
Sunday.
we did do filming at the weekends occasionally, but I didn't do a lot of outside broadcast filming. And when I did, it was only a rubbish tip or a quarry, so I didn't mind that too much.
You didn't go to Lanzarote?
No,
Spain?
no. I was doing a panel with Nicola Bryant once, and somebody asked her a question. She was going, "Oh yes, when we were in Lanzarote, I went, whoa, hold it right there. What do you mean? You went where? Lanzarote?" And she went, "Oh yes, we filmed abroad a few times." I said, "You are kidding me. How things changed. You know, rubbish tips, Brighton rubbish tip, and quarries around High Wycombe. That's as far as we got."
Even Fraser and Patrick got taken to Spain.
Who did?
Fraser and Patrick, for the two, when they came back.
Yeah.
on Baker.
No, I missed out on that.
So studio was all day with cameras?
All day with cameras, and then lunch, then a proper run in the afternoon, and then a break where makeup was done, costumes were put on, and then the recording. So it was a pretty long day on that recording day. But through the week it was just going through scene by scene.
So when you weren't needed, what were you doing?
Oh, just waiting, sitting in the room, watching other people do their scenes. Obviously it was one episode.
Was a bit of gambling happening at the same time?
Oh yeah, we played loads of cards. Yeah. It was obviously one episode a week, so we weren't doing the whole story in a week. It was one episode a week. So yeah, there was a lot of hanging around, playing cards. Often the director would say, "Is there any chance somebody could come to work? Please, can you stop playing cards for 5 minutes while we do this scene?" Of course, we had a lot of fun. We had an enormous amount of fun, but we took our work seriously, but not too seriously. And it was the most enjoyable thing ever to be part of that.
Guest cast remember coming in that you remember either being big stars and being a bit starstruck by them all, or at least people you connected with?
Everybody was a really quite famous actor. Everybody wanted to be in Doctor Who like they do now. Everybody's always wanted to be in Doctor Who. And so we had some amazing actors who've done incredible work over the years, and it was a sort of privilege to be working with some really special actors. So Ronnie, I knew I was going to forget his name. Ronnie Allen. I think he was in The Dominators, if I'm not mistaken. And maybe that was the story. I had a bit of a difficult director.
You did.
Yeah, and he was not. I don't think he liked actors very much. He was tricky. He was very tricky to me. With me, he's one of those people that needed somebody younger and more inexperienced as possible to slightly bully, and I think that just showed his own insecurities. I realise now, at the time, it was very uncomfortable for me. But Ronnie Allen sort of said one day to him, "Is there any chance that I could possibly leave half an hour early because I got an interview?" And this director went bananas. He said, "You actors are all the same. You get a job, and as soon as you get a job, you want time off." And I thought, he was just not a pleasant man, I think. So that was difficult, but but the other directors were incredible, and the quality of acting was sensational. Really, really fantastic.
I'm not sure what the stats were then, and nowadays the stats are about 70% of actors in the UK are female, but it's only about 38% of roles are for women. And I think in terms of your time on Doctor Who, major male casts all the time. Sometimes the odd female came in, but often you were there, scene after scene with just men.
Yeah.
Was it? How did you feel about it back then? Was it just you just accepted it? Was it what it was?
I think we just accepted it as the way it was. I mean, it's always been a profession more difficult for women to get parts, always. And so it was just the norm. It would have been surprising if it had been a whole cast of women. Actually, there was a story that we did called Prisoner...
It's a Big Finish. Prisoner in Space?
We did on Big Finish, which was...
Prisoner
in Space. That we were going to do, apparently, back in the day.
And because they're good as they never did.
Oh, yeah. And actually... Well, yes.
You were good.
Actually, I think they decided it was too funny, and Fraser was gutted because it was just a whole pile of women in leather suits. And, yeah, so Fraser was like, I can't believe we didn't do this story.
I think it's because there's a whole bunch of women just in leather suits is why they didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, exactly that.
Yeah, I mean, when they decide to cast for women, suddenly they've got to be Amazons or they've got to be other stereotypes. Just let's jump to the end. There's going to be lots of questions after the photos, after lunch. Just as well in terms of leaving and why you're obviously having a great time. You're having a ball with these people. The money was okay-ish.
For the time, it was not bad. Yeah.
So why did you decide to leave?
Well, we knew Pat was going, and we were both asked to stay on, and we both decided that we couldn't possibly replicate that threesome that we had, if you know what I mean. So, even though we didn't know it was John Pertwee,
It wasn't because you was put John Pertwee.
No. It wouldn't have made any difference because we felt it was all quite special, really. And also I was 21, so it was going to be off and do other things. So it was a difficult decision, and if Pat had stayed, there was no way we would have gone. Absolutely no way, unless they'd pushed us, wanted to recast, a bit like they do now. They have a much, it's a turnover, isn't it, of companions and doctors. So, yeah, it was difficult, but at the same time, it was the right decision.
Why did Pat decide to go?
I think he was tired, and I think his wife or partner then, Bunny, decided that he'd done long enough, so that he should come out of it before he was only ever known as Doctor Who, and do other work. And the most amazing thing about Pat, he was a really famous actor. Before Doctor Who, he was a wonderful actor. It's so many things. And yet, that last week of recording, I remember him coming to the rehearsal room, and he was writing, he'd bought a pack of plain white postcards, and he was writing, and I said, what on earth are you doing? And he was writing to casting directors, saying, dear whoever, just to let you know, I will be leaving Doctor Who on so anything you might have in the future, please think of me. So words to that effect. And I said, surely you don't have to do that. That's the sort of thing I have to do, not you. And he said, oh, trust me, you do. And he sent all these postcards out. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. He got work straight away, of course, and offers came in, but I didn't think I'd ever see Pat writing a postcard to a casting director. Amazing.
Excellent. We're going to do a live commentary later on for episode 10 of the War Games. So I'm going to ask you then about some of the emotion that was going through on the last day. Actually, so I'll leave all those kind of questions for there. We're going to give you a quick break.
Yeah,
we're going to do the photo soon, and I really do want to talk to Charlie once you're out of the room.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, she's terribly dull.
Everyone, please put your hands together for Wendy Padbury.
This has been the Sirens of Audio episode 196, Wendy Padbury live in Melbourne, with your host and interviewer Philip Edney. Theme music by Joe Kramer. More about us at sirensofaudio.com. Comment below to give us your feedback, or contact us via email at sirensofaudio@gmail.com, or via any one of our socials using the handle @AudioSirens. Thanks for listening, audiophiles. We'll hear you next time.